welcome to our show today. I am your host, Nicola Ajayi, and this is Who We Are. It's a show that seeks to showcase women who have committed their lives to excellence in their faith, in their families, in their careers, professions, and in their ministries. They are women who are leading purpose-driven lives and who are letting their light shine for Christ in their generation. And today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Miss Tiffany Gui. She is the president and founder of TiffanyCare.org. Tiffany, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tiffany, let everyone know in your own words who you are.
Okay, I am Tiffany Gui. I am, first of all, a soul winner, servant of God, and I am a wife, a mother, and a student.
Yes, and you have obviously been given this burden by Christ.
Yes.
To help the homeless. That's the mission of your organization, TiffanyCare.org, which you founded how many years ago?
In 2015.
In 2015, right. And I read recently online that it's actually a staggering statistic, and it alarmed me, but on any given night here in America, there are over 500,000 people living either on the streets or in shelters without a place that they can call their own.
Yes.
So speak to that a little bit. When did you realize that this was your mission in life? How did God speak to you and put that on your heart?
Okay, well, let's say it started when I was back in Ivory Coast. I believe I was around the age of 13, actually 12, going on 13. And I watched my mother actually lose everything, going from having everything, everything that a wife, mother, woman will have. She had a house, back home. We have those big mansion, like a house, 4-bedroom house, married with kids, I would say 3 maids, to having nothing at all. I found out because she sent us to live with my uncle. We were there, me, my brother, my sister, we were there going to school, but I didn't know where she was staying. I knew she lost the house, I knew that, but I didn't know, I thought she was living with my grandmother. But I found out a year later that she was actually living in the slum, in the poorest part of Ivory Coast.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I found that out because I asked if I could go and visit my mother, because she'll come and see us, but I never knew where she was living.
At what age were you when this
I was
happening?
12.
You were 12 at
Yes,
this time?
I was 12.
Living with your aunt?
Yeah, I was 12. So I went to visit her, and it was crazy. I never talked about it. Yes, it was crazy. She was living in this little hut. It was a little house. Okay. It was a little house. It was just bad. It's in the city. It's called Vridi Canal. Okay. Yes, she was living in Vridi Canal. She was just there. I guess I can't say she was happy. Me, I call that. For me, she was homeless because she lost everything. And she was living, I don't even know how she made it because she didn't have a job. So at the end, she just...
Amazing.
She
ended up losing.
Losing
everything.
Yes,
lost
and
everything.
She stayed there till she passed.
Oh.
She passed away. But when I went to visit her, I decided that I want to stay with my mom. I'd rather stay here with her. I want to be here. Okay. So she let me stay there. A year later, she passed away on poison.
Wow. Oh.
Yes, so after that, we moved here. So when we moved here in the United States, I used to help. I used to go out on outreach on my own. I used to help the homeless. I used to help those who come to me for help. I used to do that on my own because I always had a heart to help those who are in need.
Right, so after seeing that situation with your mother, obviously that started to arise in you, the desire to help people.
Yes, and I couldn't help her because I really, at that time, I couldn't do anything about it. So I used to do that back in Michigan. Okay. So when I moved to Houston, I almost lost everything, I would say myself. I was almost evicted. There were days that I didn't have food in my house. I didn't even have water. for the first time ever.
Yeah.
I would go on days with no water, but I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want people to judge me.
Yeah.
I didn't want people to start, help me and go back and talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't like
you're
that.
a private person.
Yes. So
So
I just kept to myself. And one day I was in my room praying. I was meditating. I was sitting on the floor. I remember that day. I was praying, and I heard a voice for the first time. It's like somebody was talking to me. I was just sitting there, calm, sad, I would say, because I was thinking about my situation. Like, why am I going through this? I had my father who was in Michigan. He had a house. I have my room there, but I just refused to run back to him. I had a friend who told me, "But Tiffany, why don't you go back, to Michigan?" I told him, "No, I'm old enough to make it on my own."
were you in your 20s at
Yes,
this point?
yes. I was 23.
Okay.
Yes, that was back in.
Trying to
that was
foster a
in,
life of independence.
Yes,
right?
yes, I wanted to
find
be
your own
independent.
way.
Yes, they want to depend on my father.
Of course.
So I sat there and I heard, a voice, because I always used to go out and help, even though I didn't have much.
Yeah.
I used to still, I will have, my father would send me money to pay for my light bills. And the money, somebody else would ask me, "Oh, Tiffany, can you help me with my light bills?" And I would rather, this is stuff that I don't really talk about because I did it because God told me to do it. These are things that I keep to myself, but it's just to say that I've been doing this on the down low,
Exactly.
with nobody knowing about it. But God puts in my heart that day to start a nonprofit. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, okay, to start a nonprofit. So I called a friend of mine. He's back in Michigan. His name is Prage. I called him and I was like, "Oh, Prage, what do you think? I have this burden. I had, this desire to start a nonprofit. I never done it before.
Yeah.
I never asked people to help me or whatever. So what do you think?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea, Tiffany." So I was like, "Okay, how about you help me with a name?" That day, just right there.
Yeah.
So I was sending him messages. How about this name? He said, "Oh no." So I was like, "How about this?" He said, "Oh no." He said, "This, huh?" No. So I sat there. Okay, I told him I'll call you back tomorrow. And that night, when I went to bed, I had a vision. It's like I had this vision that I was somewhere in public with a lots of people, and I saw a name on the board, on a big board that said Tiffany. Tiffany Care. This is something I never shared with somebody before because I'm the type when I have dreams, I don't talk about it. I used to talk about it. People used to say, "Oh, Tiffany in her dreams. Tiffany in her dreams." So these are things that I keep it to myself. But I saw it, and when I saw them, like, "Oh, okay, this is great." This is. It was great. So I called Prage and I'm like, "How about Tiffany Care?" He said, "Yes, that's it. That's perfect. Tiffany Care." From that day on, I started the nonprofit. I created my Facebook page. It's just like things were going.
Yes.
And the more I was doing things, the more the Spirit of God will put ideas in my head on what to do, how to do things, who to talk to, who to call.
You say that because that's one thing that I believe that God does for all of us. He gives us that little vision and it starts off with just a little seed.
Yes.
But when you start to take action on that, He gives you a little bit more and
Yes.
a little bit more and a
Yes.
little bit more. You
Yes.
don't see the full picture in the beginning.
Yes.
But the pieces start to come together.
Yes.
And actually it's a profound story. I thank you for sharing it because going through your website, I saw a shirt that you all wear on your group, and it says, the quote is, "I learned to give not because I have much, but because I know exactly how it feels to have nothing."
Yes.
And so that's your story.
Yeah, that's my story. That's something that I like to, when I go out on outreach, I don't like to dress up. I like to kind of like dress down. No makeup, nothing, just that t-shirt. So I decided, why not put the message? Because sometimes when I go out, when I talk to them, at first, when I first went, they were like, "Oh, we have a lot of people that come out here to help." But some of them, we feel like they're just here just to be here, just because they feel sorry for us. So I would tell them, well, I'm not here because not that I feel sorry for you, but because I know how it feels
in their shoes
to be in this situation. Because I was almost in the streets. You know, I had my days where I didn't have nothing to eat. I didn't have water to drink.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have nothing at all. I almost end up being homeless, let's say 3 times. I almost got evicted like 3 times. So I know what you guys are going through. Yes, God came through for me at the right time. God was there along with me, but I felt like I went through what I went through to be here today to help you, to kind of like encourage you not to give up. Because when I go out there, this is something they will tell me, oh, is that a God? You're talking about God, you want to preach the word, but look at my situation. Look where I'm sleeping, look where I'm at.
They're hopeless.
They're hopeless, they
right?
lost their
They've
faith.
lost faith
So my place is to tell them, yes, you're going through what you were going through, but just don't give up on God. You know, don't give up on yourself. Know that sooner or later this will be over.
Yeah. And it's that faith that carries you through.
Yes.
And it's amazing. It's so profound because God had to take you through that, at least a little taste of that, so that you can be a blessing for others. So we're going to take a break right now, but we're going to come back and speak a little bit more with Tiffany because this is a great story and we're going to be blessed by it. So we'll be back.
Amen. Thank you.
Hey there, and we're back. I've been talking to Tiffany Gui about a bit about her situation, how Tiffany Care got founded, how the moment that God put it on your heart to start this organization, and the process behind all that, and Him giving you the bit by bit that you needed to make it into the successful organization that it is today. I would say that, or would you say that for the most part, people who are blessed, you know, we wake up every day, we have a roof over our head, we have lights, we have water, we have the things we need, we drive to work, and day in, day out, we may see people who are living under the bridge or who are asking for assistance on the side of the road, and, you know, maybe give them $1 here, food here and there. But why in your thoughts do you feel like this should be a burden for everyone? Why should Americans care? Why should we get involved?
Okay. Well, first of all, I think that we should be, first of all, Christ-like.
Yeah.
You know, we should show love to our brothers and sisters, especially those who are going through a hard time, because, I mean, they can be your neighbor, they can be your brother, your sister, a friend. You know, don't think that because things are perfect for you that you have everything that you need, that, I mean, this can never happen to you. Because those that you see in the street, some of those, because I met a guy who was a lawyer. And how did he end up there? Because of bills. He lost his job, couldn't afford to pay for his house. He lost his wife and so on. So you see, these people they used to be somebody in the society.
Yeah, this is educated people.
Yes.
This can happen to anyone,
yes.
right?
Some, yes, you can, some are drug addicts, but some of them became drug addicts while they were living in the streets. Because, you know, my brother used to be homeless. He was homeless. So he told me a little bit about the drugs, you know, drug addict part. Because when you sleep in the streets, when you are in shelters, you can run over needles. You meet people who are addicts.
Yeah.
And when you are depressed or need something to kind of like strengthen you, I will say you can end up shooting yourself.
I'm sure it's a way to numb that pain
Yes,
and the tragedy and the horror that they have to go through every
go
day
through
and to
every day.
see. And
Yes,
for people who may not be as strong in Christ or have that faith,
yes,
who may be a little downtrodden and weak,
yes.
I could see why you would resort to drugs and alcohol
Drugs
just
and
to
alcohol.
numb yourself.
Yes, to find, some people find comfort in alcohol and drugs. So if you see them, we need to help them, especially Christians. Being Christ-like or being a Christian doesn't just limit in with just going to church every Sunday. Being in the church, praising God, preaching, and being good to your brother and sister who is inside the church with you. We need to go out there and preach the word to these people. We need to go out there and encourage them. You need to feed them. If you have food, if you can, you need to go out there. Sadly, in Texas, we can't feed them, but you can help them go to a place where they can find food, a shelter. You can just offer maybe $1 or $3 or $4. You can buy food. You can
For
just
that meal to get to the
right.
next.
Don't ignore the situation. People out there hurting. They struggling. They suffering. Just a hello, good morning, a
Sometimes
smile
it's
can
as
make
simple
their
as
day.
that. It's
Yes.
as simple as that. Tell me a
Yes.
bit about some of the things that you do. I know you mentioned the food, and I know that your organization does quite a few little things for people. Tell me about maybe the items that you provide,
Yes.
the type of assistance that you
Yes.
provide. Do you speak to them on the phone,
Yes.
prayers, those type of
Yes.
things?
Yes. Right now, what I do is go out outreach once a month. I have a team of people that I work with. Well, before I used to be alone, but now I have 3 people that I work with. They always there when I'm ready to go out. All I have to do is call them. Hey, I have an event tomorrow. You want to come along? So we go out there with clothes, shoes, water,
And are these
and
donated? These items
the
are donated?
clothes, yeah, the
Okay.
clothes and shoes are donated items. And there are some too that I buy. Like during the winter time, what I do is just buy coats,
Okay.
buy jackets, something that they can keep them warm. If I don't get it from when sometimes I go on Facebook and ask people, here are the things that I need. But if I don't get them, I just use my own money to buy them, purchase them, and go out there and donate them. Hygiene products and so much more.
I imagine things like a toothbrush, toothpaste,
Yes. Yes.
even feminine care items. These are things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
You go to the restroom and they're there.
Yes.
But these are things that,
These are things that they need. And somebody might say, oh, why won't they go to a shelter? Well, some of them can make it to a shelter. Maybe the shelter is probably about, let's say, 20, 30 minutes away from where they sleeping. They can't go to a shelter. So what we do is just go out there. We go to them. I'd rather go to those who are living in the streets. Yes, those who can't make it to a shelter.
And I know that your organization also helps people find shelters
Yes.
if they are. Now, I know you were mentioning before that sometimes the shelters are full. That's an unfortunate part of this whole thing. Sometimes it's full, but your organization is there for people that even sometimes just need a prayer. Or just need
Sometimes I get calls. Sometimes I get calls from people who are in need of a shelter, a place to sleep. And because they call, let's say about over 30 shelters and they all got turned down. So my job is to call back the shelters to see if they have a bed. And sadly, 85% of the time they don't have any bed. So now I have to call them back and say, I didn't find you a bed. And sometimes they end up crying like, oh my gosh, now I've never been a homeless before. Now that means I have to sleep in my car. Now I have to sleep in the street. So what do I do is pray with them. As soon as I'm done, a lot of time when I pray with them, they feel better. Oh, thank you. That helps a lot.
You need that little encouragement to make it through the remainder of the day.
Yes, pray with them. Sometime if I have some money on me, to pay a night at a motel. If I can do that, I always do. There's something else that we do too.
And that's such a blessing. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back and continue talking to Tiffany Gui about how you can also tap into this, how you can help out, donate, and how you can find her and get to be a blessing like she's been. So we'll be right back. there. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I've been talking to Tiffany Gui, and we were talking a bit about tiffanycare.org, how it got started, and some of the reasons why people may fall into homelessness or find themselves in shelters or without a roof over their head. You were mentioning before the story about, and that really touched me, the young man who was a lawyer, lost everything due to bankruptcy,
Yes.
hard times, and I imagine you meet people like that all
Yes.
the time. Tell us about an experience or a situation, your most memorable encounter that you had with someone that you met, and how you helped them through.
Okay. Yes. Recently, I have been talking to a friend. Well, she called me. Like she found me online. She was looking for shelter. I was actually at work when she called, and I called the number back, and she said, "I'm looking for shelter." And I told her, well, I don't have the shelter yet, but I can help you find a shelter or a bed. So she told me I already did, but all the shelters were full.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, sadly, I can help you right now, but if I find, I will keep calling. If I find something, I will give you a call back. So I hung up, and I was trying to reach somebody else and call her back. She was like, oh, this is Laura. I'm like, oh, Laura. Okay, Laura, tell me, what's going on? How come you're looking for a shelter? So she told me, well, I lost my job, and I've been living with a friend. And the friend is telling me that I can't stay with her anymore because God told her that she shouldn't help me. So I was like, well, I'm not sure it's God who told her that, but if it's the will of God that you leave her place, I'm sure God will make a way for you to get another place, because He will not allow you to sleep in the street. So even if I can't help you find a shelter, I'm sure He will make a way. So I was talking to her, and we prayed for a good 30 minutes, and I told her that will keep checking on her. So she said, okay. The next day she sent me a text message. Oh, Sister Tiffany, God's been good. God's been good. You know, He opened the door, and I found my own place.
Wow.
My brother called me, yes, and offered to pay my rent for 3 months if I find a place, and I did. So I will be calling you tomorrow. Please continue praying for me. And I was happy. And the next day she called me and told me, guess what? I got a job interview.
Awesome.
So I was calling you so if we could pray, you know, for this job. And so that was great. I was like, Laura, see, God is making a way. He will not allow you to end up in the street. He will make a way. Just, you know, have faith, keep praying. Don't think that everything is over for you. Just keep praying. So yesterday I spoke to her, and she got the job, and she's doing fine.
That is an awesome story. Amazing.
She's doing great.
So
I
tell
thank
people
God for
who
her
may
life.
not know how to reach you, whether your website or how they can reach out to you on Facebook, not only people who are looking for help themselves, but also people who want to tap in and donate and provide resources for the organization. How can they find you?
Oh, okay. Well, I can be found on Facebook, Tiffany Care, Instagram, what is the other one? Twitter, and also www.tiffanycare.org or tiffanycare.com. You can find me there. And also, if you need help, if you need a shelter, you can also reach me at 281-779-9687. We can I can call around to see if I can find you a place. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there's lots of ways that you can get in contact. You can get the assistance you need, or you can be a blessing yourself and donate, because all these things work on donations and on the goodness out of the heart of you and your team to sometimes tap into your own funds and provide these. Now, Tiffany, I want you to speak directly to that person, whether it's a man, a woman, a young person who may have been in a situation like you were in your early 20s when you found yourself almost about to lose everything that you have. Speak directly to that person. Give them the hope that they need, or tell them how they can pull themselves out of that like you did, and then move on to doing big and great things like you're doing today.
Thank you. Well, all I can say is don't give up on God. That's one thing first, because true, it's not easy sometimes to be going through hard time losing everything, and somebody come to you and like, oh, keep praying, because I myself, I used to get annoyed when people tell me, oh, I had this spiritual mother who used to call me and say, oh, keep praying, keep praying. It wasn't easy, but guess what? I never gave up on prayer. I never gave up on prayer. Just know that God hears you. He's there with you. He will never leave your side. He will always make a way. Just don't lose faith. And also, you can go to your local shelter. They have a lot of resources. They have a lot of numbers that you can call for help, to get help. There are places that you can get. If you need food, there are places you can go to like Houston Food Bank. You can get food free at charge. You can go there and get food. You can go to a church. You might, God, either way, just don't give up on God. Don't lose hope. And just keep praying. That's what I can say, because that's what I did. My own situation, all I did was prayer. All I had was prayer. I never gave up on God. It wasn't easy. It was hard. I remember those days I was sleeping in the dark, but I never gave up on God when I didn't have lights in my apartment. I didn't give up on God. I just kept praying, and God made a way.
He will.
And just know that He will make a way for you. Just don't give up.
He absolutely will. And it's hard, of course, but one thing you have to keep, I believe, is your faith. Would you agree?
Yes.
Once you have lost faith and hope, then that's the beginning of a downward spiral that sometimes it's hard to get out of. And Tiffany, I want to thank you for joining me today. Your story has been a touching one. It's an amazing one. It's been a story of survival and redemption. And I love the fact that God, He had to take you through a taste of that to bring you to the point that you are now. And I thank God that you listened to His call and
thank
that you're doing
these
wonderful things to help eradicate homelessness in our local area, and here in Houston and in America. And one thing I just want to tell you all is, remember that God is a God who answers prayers.
He does.
Don't lose your faith. Don't lose your hope. Continue. If you find yourself in a circumstance similar to this, or it could be in any type of situation, keep praying. The Word of God said He's close and near to the brokenhearted, and He will see you through. And you always have a reason to give Him glory.
Yes.
So thank you again, Tiffany.
Thank you, Nicola.
To our viewers, I thank you for following us, for joining us today. I thank you for tuning in. And remember, you can follow us on Instagram and on YouTube, and you can also connect with us on Facebook. I thank you again, and I pray that God continually blesses you, and you will always let your light shine for Christ in your generation. See you next time.